there, friends. My name is Rachel GNS Middle. Gilbert and Sullivan is my middle name, and my middle name is my last name, and I have Daenerys with me. Nah. I need to stop kissing my cats when I have lipstick on. I was very good then at not putting on so much pressure because last time I got lipstick on my cat and it took like 2 weeks to come off. I won't do that again. So I am here today to tell you all about our upcoming production of The Grand Duke at the Drayton Arms Theatre in London, UK, as well as at some other venues. We actually premiere the show on the 31st of August at Ettington Park. If you would like to come see this show, it is done privately through the owners of the property, so you can let me know, or you can join the Ettington Park Opera Facebook group, and you can get details from the people who run that performance as to how you can get tickets. We are also performing, as I say, at the Drayton Arms Pub Theatre in London, which is a gorgeous space. We just rehearsed HMS Pinafore there and it is beautiful. The food there is delicious, so do buy a ticket for that. I'm going to be posting information about that in the description box below. We are also performing at the Cotswold Playhouse in Stroud, and that is on the 1st of December. We are also performing at the Alma Theatre in Bristol. That'll be on the 7th of December, both the matinee and the evening. The 1st of December is just a matinee. The Cotswold performances and the Bristol performances will be done in conjunction of our performance of HMS Pinafore. So if you would like to go and see both shows at one of those venues, both venues are offering a discount if you would like to come and see both shows. So that is an option for you if you would like to do that. So for those of you who have just been directed to this video and have no idea who I am, let me just tell you a few things about my relationship with the Grand Duke. So I first got to know the Grand Duke when I did my very first concert of Gilbert and Sullivan music. I joined university, I immediately joined the GNS Society. We did this concert which was a bunch of favourites from all of the shows, and it just so happened that the piece the guy chose from the Grand Duke was quite a nerdy piece, and it was a great choice. But he chose to use the "When two doughty heroes thunder, all the world is lost in wonder," that bit from the Act 1 finale of Grand Duke. And he gave out to us CDs of all of the tracks that we're doing in the concert. And so in order to include the track for that piece of music, he had to include the whole of the Act 1 finale of the Grand Duke. And I'm telling you, like, that I was listening to that in my first year bedroom. My hair is so long, by the way, it's getting out of hand. I'm getting it cut tomorrow, but yeah, woo! So there I am, like 18-year-old Rachel, listening to this incredible like piece of art. That's what I think. I think the Act 1 finale of Grand Duke is a legit piece of art. But I became absolutely obsessed with these characters. I was like, oh my god, like the Julia and Lisa relationship I thought was brilliant. The way that Ludwig just has to get over his heartbreak and just get on with it. We are performing the Grand Duke with 8 people. You might be saying to yourself, how is that possible, you absolute maniac? Well, I'll tell you how it's possible. So there's certain people like me playing Julia and Christina who plays Lisa, Will who plays Ludwig. We mostly stay in our characters the whole time, but there are some people who play multiple characters. Ernest and Rudolph are both going to be in the chorus for all the times they're not on stage. The same is true of the Baroness and the Princess. The person who plays the notary, David Jones, he is also going to be playing the Prince of Monte Carlo. And the Prince and Princess also play the heralds. We have 2 heralds. This was a prime example of us making a virtue out of a necessity back in 2018 when we first did this 8-person Grand Duke. When you first try to do a reduced cast of a Gilbert and Sullivan, or indeed any opera, there are so many challenges that you have to face in that, but often you find that the solutions that present themselves are so genius
that they almost make it better than what was originally intended. And I'm telling you that the 2 herald performance of the Prince of Monte Carlo, it's very, very good. It's mostly the same people. We do have Christina, who's coming in from America. We have Jenny Simmons, who dazzled us all as Grosvenor in Patience and Elsie in The Yeoman of the Guard at Buxton in 2019 and 2021. And we have the wonderful David Menezes, who is coming in to play Ernest. He's played Marco in The Gondoliers for us, Fairfax and Yeoman of the Guard, Rafe in HMS Pinafore. So very excited about that. This will be technically like a kind of revival of our 2018 show. Some things will be the same, but there's a lot of stuff that's different. I feel like since 2018, I have learned so much about being a performer and a director, and I felt that even back then I thought, oh, this is a really, really great show, I'm super proud of it, but now this is going to be like off the scale. You guys have to come and see this show. I've learned that I'm a bit weird. I did get officially diagnosed with autism 2 weeks ago, so yeah, I am officially like a bit strange. But what's important about allowing kind of neurodivergent people to create and watching what neurodivergent people bring to the table is so important, because we have such a different perspective on life. We have such a different perspective on emotion, on physicality and behaviour. The way that I move just in my normal life is very different to how a lot of people move. The facial expressions I use, the voice I use. I think in the past I've been made to feel like characterizations I've been doing of certain GNS characters like aren't realistic. When I was like, look at me, I'm not a very realistic person. I'm trying to be more authentic to that. And so what you will see in September is a celebration of neurodiversity and art, but also hilarious and silly, absurd avant-gardeness. The costume concept is kind of Rococo. In the first half, we are trying to stay true somewhat to the late 18th century Baroque / Bavarian feel of it. I'm obsessed with like Bavarian style. I've spent so much of my working life in Munich. I work for a German theatre company. I'm out there usually twice, sometimes 3 times a year, working for them, directing, acting. And my German is pretty woeful. I like to say that I'm hotel and restaurant fluent, but not really too much else. I can quite happily speak away in German, but if a German person responds to me, I'm like, what? They speak too quickly. I don't get it. Ich verstehe nicht. But I'm well into Bavarian art, Bavarian culture, and I've come up with all kinds of cool costume ideas. My Greek costumes are very high camp and very stylized. You wouldn't find any of these costumes actually in the 18th century, but I'm being deliberately a bit stylized. It's as if somebody is looking back at the 18th century as a kind of fever dream. And so I'm using fashion concepts, but maybe putting a bit of a modern twist on them. So you can expect to see a lot of really fun costumes, a lot of silly headpieces, a lot of really cool stuff going on there. Set-wise, it's going to be relatively minimalistic, but I'm also going to include as much stuff as I can to show that we are in Bavaria and then subsequently in ancient Greece. So how am I going to approach this usually relatively unpopular work? I do think that in recent years the Grand Duke has had quite a bit of a resurgence. I would like to think that that is in part because of my production of the Grand Duke back in 2018. But there was also a great production that the National GNS Opera Company did in 2012. There was also one at the Finborough in 2012, which sadly I missed because I was on tour, so I didn't get to see that one, but I heard it was really good. But I am approaching this with absolute commitment to the frivolity and silliness of the text and the characters, while also at the same time understanding that these characters are trying to represent... Oh, hello. That these characters do represent certain truths that may be uncomfortable to us. We see these characters making what we consider to be really bad, nasty decisions, like Ludwig not running after Lisa and going, no, wait, I care far more about you than being the Grand Duke. We are seeing characters who are flawed. We are seeing characters who may not do the right thing in certain situations, and that is reflective of actual humanity. I do think we tend to be quite judgmental of GNS characters as a community, and it's good for us to look at what these characters do wrong and say, well, is that really something that we wouldn't do? And let's maybe confront that. Let's treat this person, as a real good person that might have some flaws and has made some mistakes. Even Julia, I want to try and make her as real as I possibly can, but to make her real, she has to be a very exuberant and strange person. And that's fine, because I am an exuberant and strange person, so I'm basically not acting. I'd like to think I'm a little bit less selfish than Julia, but hey, have I made decisions in my past where I've put my own ambitions over somebody else's happiness? Of course I've done that. And do I regret those decisions? Yeah, pretty much every time. But I had to make mistakes in order to become the person I am. And I'd like to think that Julia is redeemable. I want these characters to be people that the audience can relate to, that they can grow to love, that they can grow to feel sorry for, and that they celebrate with them and mourn with them, and that we can actually feel some true emotions when we are watching this opera. In regard to music, there was a part of me when I was first thinking about this project where I was determined to use every single scrap of Sullivan's music, almost just for the point of doing it. Because I felt that there hasn't actually been another production that has done that. People say that the Seattle production at the festival did that, but it did not. They cut a bit of Julia's aria. I am really happy to see that a lot of productions are putting Julia's "Oh Pity Me, My Comrades True" in its full completeness into the opera. It's really good. I want to do the "When two men their temper lose, awful are the words they use." Like, I want to do that whole thing. The things I might still cut out, which I'm still thinking about, I think I'll probably only do one verse of Strange the Views, and I think I will do the usual reduction of the Baroness and Rudolph song, and I will probably only have one verse of Broken Down Critter as well. I think that those cuts worked pretty well the last time we did it, because in that sense, we're not really cutting out an awful lot of music, we're just not repeating stuff. I understand that, certainly in the case of Rudolph's song, that's not strictly true, because the second verse does differ slightly from the first. There will be elements in there that maybe aren't quite the same, but I'm talking from a kind of layperson's point of view. But generally, we are going to include pretty much all of the music. We are certainly not cutting out much at all. When it comes to dialogue, again, we are including pretty much all of the dialogue. I'm talking, we may cut out 2 or 3 lines that I just feel slightly slow things down. I'm talking really, really minor changes here. So this will be, even if we are making a few tiny cuts, this will be one of the most complete productions of Grand Duke you'll have ever seen, but I am determined to make it pacey. It shouldn't last much more than an hour, 10 minutes first half and an hour second half. That's always what I aim for when I do these operas. I never really want the Act 1 to go on longer than an hour and 10 minutes. Kind of failed with the Omen of the Guard there. We were always running at an hour 20, no matter what we did. In the end, I just gave in to it. It's like, oh, it's just long. It's fine. It's just long. So how is this production going to differ from our 2018 version? We are levelling it up, as I say, sets and costume-wise. Back when we did it in Baron's Court, I'm going to be talking over some footage here that I'm going to show you. We had a set which I painted by hand. I put up some strips of wallpaper in my living room and very carefully painted this nice Bavarian scene onto the back of it. I think it actually looked pretty good. It worked out fine. I'm also just levelling up my second half set. There's going to be some nice Grecian pillars there, more cohesive style-wise. And also, we are going to build upon the choreography that is existing and maybe put some more things into it. There are some things that I felt were pretty much perfect already, which I'm not going to change, but other things we're going to make cleaner. We're going to make the characters more realistic. I went into that 2018 version thinking, oh, Ludwig's just a horrible narcissist, and actually I'm coming out now thinking, oh, like, why do that? Like, you know, maybe he is, and maybe that works, but I want to see if we can make him a little bit nicer. A lot of this just plays into my desire to see theatre bring joy to people. I understand that it's really important to challenge people and show them the gritty reality of some people's lives and the horrible things that are going on in the world. But interestingly, I find that joy and silliness actually does that, sometimes more successfully than showing somebody like a very gritty drama. I love going to see philosophical, intellectual plays which make me think. I adore that. But I feel like Gilbert is also kind of doing that, but he just gets there a different way. So what Gilbert is doing is he is piling on the joy, piling on the silliness, making it really, really fun, colourful, exuberant, and then as you let down your barriers because you feel like you're just really getting into this and it's all very happy and joyful, suddenly you just get hit with this dose of reality. And suddenly a character who was heretofore very exuberant and fun is now suddenly flat and numb because of what's going on. And I feel like that's going to hit harder if we've become warm to this character already by seeing the joy, by seeing how the situation that they're in unravelled. And I'm not turning the Grand Duke into a Chekhov play. I promise you, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that I want to fill it with as much emotional colour as I possibly can. That is my new ambition as a director. Just trying to give the audience the chance to let down barriers and be vulnerable in order to absorb the emotions, in order to help them maybe even in their lives when they're not in the theatre, their actual lives, to help them be a little bit more vulnerable with each other and talk to each other about problems. GNS characters are terrible at communicating. That is how a lot of the hilarity ensues in the world of Gilbert and Sullivan, because people are terrible at talking to each other. But I don't want us to be terrible at talking to each other. I want people to talk about issues they're having. I want to know what's going on with people in my life. And when I give art to the world, I want that to be like, hey there, we're safe. Come and talk to us, you know? I don't think that my art is going to change the world. I don't think that this production of The Grand Duke will literally change the world. I'm just saying it could. So thank you for listening to my ramblings about The Grand Duke, which again is going to be at the Drayton Arms Pub Theatre in London from the 3rd to the 7th of September. You can buy tickets at the link below. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about this? Did you come and see the production in 2018? What are you most excited about seeing again? Which characters did you like the best? What numbers did you like the most? Like, tell me all the things that you enjoyed. Everyone's going to say the vegan sausage rolls. I don't think I'm going to do that this year, to be honest, guys, because that was a bit of a health and safety nightmare, to be honest. I didn't even think that there may be people with nut allergies, and I filled those things with nuts. So I had an ingredients list in the theatre when people came in, but I was really lucky that like that wasn't an issue ever. So I think that was probably quite a risk, serving actual food with nuts in the theatre, and I don't think I'll do that again, but I will maybe get some Greg's vegan sausage rolls that we'll cut up and use for the sausage rolls. So sorry about that if you were looking forward to that again, but I don't think that is happening. But yeah, get down in the comments. Tell me what you really loved about the last Grand Duke that we did, what you're looking forward to this time, and, you know, what you had for dinner and what's going on in your life. Like, talk to me, tell me, and let's have a happy and productive Gilbert and Sullivan community in 2024. I love you all so much. Mwah. Goodbye. Goodbye from Dora. And Daenerys, who's been beside me the whole video.
your countenance I can't fix, my dear.
Proves I'm not a sham.
It don't, it only says crack and 36, my dear.
Express your grief profound.
I shan't this tone, I never allow, my love.
Rudolph at once produce.
I can't, he isn't at home just now, my love.
He isn't at home just now.
He isn't at home just now. He has an appointment particular, very abundant. I think he is cemetery, and that's how we come to be making so very good. He isn't at home just now. He isn't at home just now.
God bless my heart and soul and life. It's impudence personified. I come here to be matrimonially matrimonified.
For any disappointment, I am sorry unaffectedly. But yesterday that nobleman expired quite unexpectedly. Toll-a-riddle, 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 toll-a-riddle,